The wind howled like a demon straight out of hell that brutal winter of 1912, tearing through the savage canyons outside Dust Creek, Arizona. I remember it all too clearly, the sting of snow whipping my face, the metallic taste of blood in my mouth, and the gut-wrenching crack of gunfire that had turned our stagecoach ride into a nightmare. Outlaws had hit us hard, shadows on horseback emerging from the rocks like ghosts hungry for gold and lives. Bullets had flown, horses screamed, and in the chaos, I'd drawn my revolver, firing back with everything I had. But it wasn't enough. The coach flipped, splintering wood and scattering our meager belongings into the frozen abyss. There I lay, pinned under a twisted axle, my leg crushed and throbbing with a fire that made stars explode behind my eyes. The cold seeped into my bones, whispering promises of death, but I fought it, clawing at the snow with my good hand. That's when I heard her, Sarah, her voice breaking through the gale like a desperate prayer. She was cradling her little brother Billy, his small body limp against her chest, his face pale as the drifts around us. "Billy, wake up! Please, God, wake up!" she sobbed, her fiery red hair matted with snow and blood from a gash on her forehead. Her eyes, those piercing green eyes I'd come to know too well, locked onto mine across the wreckage. In that moment, regret hit me harder than any bullet. I'd dragged them into this mess, thinking I could protect them, but here we were, broken and freezing in the jaws of the wild. I tried to speak, to tell her to run, to find shelter, but my words came out as a ragged whisper, lost in the wind. My vision blurred, the world tilting into darkness, but her face stayed with me, a beacon of fierce determination amid the ruin. How had it come to this? Me, Jack Harlan, the rugged wanderer with Australian blood in my veins and American dust on my boots, fighting for a life I hadn't even known I wanted until her. As unconsciousness pulled me under, I clung to one thought. If I survived this, I'd make it right. For Billy, for her, for the family I'd never dared to dream of. But this ain't where my story starts. No, to understand how we ended up in that godforsaken canyon, ambushed and bleeding, you gotta go back to the autumn before, when the leaves were turning gold, and I was still running from my own shadows. I'd been gone 4 long years, chasing ghosts across the outback and back. From the dusty plains of New South Wales to the mining camps of California, my pa had been a tough old Aussie who'd crossed the ocean for a better life, only to die young, leaving me his ranch in Arizona, a patch of scrubland that felt more like a curse than a blessing. Rumors followed me like coyotes, whispers of a botched cattle drive, a woman scorned, and debts I couldn't outrun. But weariness had finally caught up. I rode back into Dust Creek under a merciless sun, my horse lathered, and my heart heavy. The ranch house loomed on the horizon, weathered and silent, like it had been waiting to judge me. My sister Eliza stood on the porch, her arms crossed, her face as stern as the granite cliffs nearby. She was 10 years my senior, with the same dark hair and unyielding eyes as our ma, God rest her soul. "Jack Harlan," she said, her voice clipped with that Aussie lilt we both carried, though hers was softened by years in the States. "Figured you'd show up eventually. This land's yours by blood, but you've always chased horizons instead of roots." I dismounted, feeling the weight of her words like a lasso around my neck. "I'm done running, Eliza. Pa left this to me, and I aim to make something of it." "No more drifting," she snorted, wiping her hands on her apron. "Words are cheap, brother. Clay's been helping me hold this place together while you were off playing outlaw. He's got ideas about buying you out." Clay was our cousin, a slick-talking fella from Tucson who'd always eyed the ranch with greed in his eyes. He'd shown up after Pa's death offering help that smelled more like opportunism. I nodded, not wanting to argue just yet. "I'll talk to him. But this is home now." Inside, the house smelled of fresh-baked bread and old regrets. Eliza poured me coffee, black and strong, and we sat at the scarred oak table where Pa used to tell stories of kangaroos and gold rushes. "Why now, Jack?" she asked, her tone softening just a hair. "What's chasing you back?" I stared into the cup, seeing reflections of faces I'd left behind. "Ghosts, sis, the kind that don't let a man sleep. I need roots or I'll blow away like tumbleweed," she sighed, patting my hand, a rare gesture. "Well, town's changed. Railroads brought in all sorts. Drifters, miners, and trouble. Watch yourself." Dust Creek was a gritty railroad outpost, cleaved by iron tracks that hummed with the promise of progress and the sting of transience. Saloons lined the main street, spilling laughter and fights into the dust. The Depot Diner was a hub where trainmen gulped coffee and locals swapped tall tales. I wandered in that first evening, craving a hot meal and some solitude. That's when I spotted him. A shivering boy, no older than 8, huddled outside the diner, his thin coat no match for the chill creeping in with sunset. His eyes were wide, watchful, like a colt sensing predators. I approached slow, not wanting to spook him. "You all right, kid? It's getting cold out here." He looked up, his face dirt-streaked but earnest. "I'm Billy, waiting for my sister. She works inside. I don't let her walk home alone. The rough crowd, you know." I followed his gaze through the window to a fiery-haired woman behind the counter, pouring coffee with a defiant tilt to her chin. Sarah. Even from outside, she radiated a quiet strength, her apron tied tight over a simple dress, her movements efficient amid the buzz of patrons. "That's her? Looks like she can handle herself." Billy nodded proudly. "Sarah's tough, but Pa's gone and it's just us. I guard her." Something in his words tugged at me, the innocence mixed with responsibility too heavy for his small shoulders. I'd been that boy once, after Ma died, watching over Eliza in the outback shacks. "Come on inside, Billy, warm up. I'll buy you a cocoa." His eyes lit up, but hesitation flickered. "Sarah says no. Mr. Vance don't like it." I pushed open the door anyway, the bell jingling like a challenge. The air was thick with grease and tobacco smoke. Trainmen hunched over plates, a couple of miners arguing in the corner. Old man Jenkins, the cook, nodded at me from the kitchen. He'd known Pa. Sarah glanced up as I guided Billy to a stool, her green eyes narrowing. "What in tarnation are you doing?" "Billy, I told you to stay home." The boy shrank, but I met her gaze steady. "It's my doing, ma'am." Kid was freezing. "Name's Jack Harlan. Just back in town." She wiped her hands, fury sparking like flint. "I don't care who you are. Mr. Vance has rules. No family during shifts." "You could have cost me my job." Before I could respond, the door slammed open, and in stormed Harlan Vance, the tyrannical railroad overseer. He was a bull of a man, broad-shouldered with a mustache like barbed wire, his badge gleaming under the lantern light. The room hushed. Vance ruled Dust Creek like a king, doling out jobs and justice with an iron fist.
"What's this?"
he bellowed, eyeing Billy. "I said no kinfolk cluttering up the place, Sarah. And you, Harlan? Thought you were long gone, stirring up trouble elsewhere." I stood tall, my hand resting casual on my hip, near my holster. "Diner's public, Vance? Boys eating, we're paying. Simple as that," he sneered, stepping closer, his breath reeking of whiskey. "Your pa was a fool leaving you that ranch. Word is you're a deserter from some Aussie mess. Don't push me, boy." The tension crackled like lightning before a storm. Patrons shifted, eyes darting. Deputy Rawls, a lanky lawman nursing a beer in the corner, watched, but didn't intervene. He'd owed Pa a favor once. I held Vance's stare, my voice low and gritty. "I've stared down worse than you. Back off." Vance hesitated, then spat on the floor and turned. "This ain't over." The door banged shut behind him, leaving the room exhaling in relief. Sarah rounded on me, her face flushed.
"You idiot!"
"That man's got the power to run us out of town. I need this job. For Billy, for us. Why'd you have to play hero?" Her words stung, but beneath the anger, I saw vulnerability. A woman fighting alone in a man's world. "Didn't mean to cause trouble, ma'am. Just couldn't let the kid freeze." She softened a fraction, glancing at Billy sipping his cocoa, his cheeks rosy now. "Get out, both of you." I tipped my hat and left, but her fire lingered in my mind that night as I rode home. Who was she? This Sarah with the unyielding pride. And why did her eyes haunt me like a half-remembered dream? Weeks blurred into heavy snow, blanketing Dust Creek in white silence. The ranch demanded my hands, fencing, tending cattle with Clay's reluctant help. He was a weaselly sort, always scheming, hinting at selling to Eastern investors. "Jack, this land's dying. Let me broker a deal," he'd say, his eyes shifty. But my thoughts drifted to Billy and Sarah. I'd see them in town, her hauling groceries, him tagging along like a shadow. One stormy Christmas Eve, I couldn't shake it. I bundled gifts I'd ordered from Tucson, sturdy boots for Billy, a wool coat to replace his threadbare one, and a kid-sized lasso to teach him roping. The shack they called home was on the town's edge, ramshackle with a leaking roof. Billy answered my knock, his eyes widening like saucers. "Mr. Jack, thought you'd forgotten us." I stepped inside, the warmth from a meager fire chasing the chill. "Nah, kid. Merry Christmas." He tore into the packages with glee, whooping as he tried the lasso, swinging it awkward but joyful. Sarah entered then, arms laden with firewood, her expression warring between surprise and suspicion. "What are you doing here?" "Just gifts, Sarah, for the boy." She watched Billy's delight, her defenses cracking like ice in thaw. "Thank you, but we don't need charity." I met her eyes, feeling a pull I couldn't name. "It ain't charity. Survival ain't living, Sarah. Let me help. Take Billy on at the ranch, teach him the ropes, and you marry me. I ain't promising hearts and flowers, but protection, a home." Her mouth parted in shock, then hardened. "You think I'd sell my brother for security? Like he's livestock? Get out, Jack Harlan. We don't need your pity." Her rejection cut deep, exposing cracks in my armored heart. I'd offered what I knew, stability, but she wanted more, something I didn't understand. "Love, I'd seen it twist men into fools." I stormed into the blizzard, her words echoing, unaware of Billy's hopeful face pressed to the window. Winter dragged, but spring's thaw brought melting snow and budding hope. I sent word through Jenkins at the diner. One last chance, a ride to see the land. To my surprise, she agreed. We set out in my wagon, Billy bouncing with excitement between us. The ridge overlooked twin arroyos, verdant with new grass. "Picture it," I said, my voice rough with emotion. "A house there, caroused by the water. A life, Sarah." She gazed out, her hand brushing mine accidental-like, sending a spark through me. "It's beautiful, could heal a soul, but fate twisted cruel." A hidden rattlesnake struck, spooking the horses. The wagon lurched toward a sheer drop. "Jump!" I yelled, leaping to shield Billy as we plummeted. Pain exploded, my leg pinned, rocks tumbling. Sarah pulled us free, her hands bloody, tears streaming.
"Hold on, Jack."
In the hospital, the doc's words hit like a stampede. "Mobility's in jeopardy, son. Might never ride again." Eliza and Clay stood by, doubt in their eyes. But Sarah's face, pleading in my memory, stirred something fierce. This wasn't the end, not yet. The sterile smell of carbolic acid and stale linens hit me like a slap as I drifted in and out of consciousness in that Dust Creek hospital room. My leg throbbed under the bandages, a constant reminder of the crash, the rattlesnake's hiss, the wagon's wild lurch, the sickening crunch of wood and bone. Doc Harlan, no relation, thank God, had poked and prodded, his face grim as he muttered about shattered bones and nerves that might never knit right. "You might walk with a limp, Jack," he'd said, "but riding? That's a gamble even Lady Luck wouldn't take." Eliza hovered like a hawk, her arms crossed, while Clay lounged in the corner, his boots propped on a chair, eyeing me with that calculating gleam. "Told you adventuring would catch up, cousin," he drawled, twirling his mustache. "Ranch needs a steady hand. Sell me your share and I'll make it thrive." I waved him off, pain fogging my thoughts, but deep down, his words gnawed. The ranch was Pa's legacy, the one thing tying me to roots I'd ignored too long. Yet here I was, flat on my back, useless as a three-legged horse. Billy's dazed face from the wreck haunted me. And Sarah, God, Sarah. Her hands pulling me free, her voice cutting through the chaos. Was she all right? Had the rocks claimed more than just my mobility? The door burst open then, slamming against the wall with a crack that jolted me alert. Sarah stormed in, her red hair wild, eyes red-rimmed and frantic. She looked like she'd ridden through hell, her dress torn at the hem, snow melting off her boots in puddles. "I have to see him," she cried, pushing past Eliza, who tried to block her. "You can't keep me out. Billy's hurt bad. He won't wake proper, keeps mumbling. We need a real doctor, not this backwater sawbones." My heart lurched. Billy, the kid I'd shielded, his small body tumbling with mine. "Sarah?" I rasped, trying to sit up, fire shooting through my leg. "What happened? Is he—" She rushed to my bedside, gripping the rail, her knuckles white. "He's at the shack, feverish. Doc says it's a concussion, but I don't trust it. We need a specialist from Tucson, someone who knows heads and spines. But the cost. Jack, I ain't got it. Billy's all I have left.